Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of our Google Apps Calendar week, where we learn to use Google's Calendar app as professionals. So we're going to start with the review of what we learned yesterday. So Robert, what's one thing you can tell us about maps from yesterday, or calendar? Okay, say that one more time. Okay, use the calendar to keep records. Okay, Tom, how about you? What's one thing you remember from yesterday? Okay, Google puts calendars in layers. Julia, how about you? One thing you remember about calendars from yesterday? Why? It can be confusing. If what? Okay, so you watched the video from today, right? Okay. So what Julie is talking about is changing the calendar colors, and on a starting point level, that's true. If you have two calendars that are the same color, it's going to get to be confusing. However, you might want to change your calendar covers or colors to match important stuff. Like you might have family things all kind of greenish colors, or blues or something like that, and have work be red, orange, yellow. And so when you see something on your calendar, you can easily get what type of category is the calendar. Is it an urgent calendar? Is it just something I don't really need to be too concerned about, etc. So, Tamika, how about you?
What I learned is that you could some of the best are a couple of the best are monthly and also weekly.
Okay, so that's not a review. That's from the TED or the talk that you heard on the video, right?
Oh, yesterday.
Yeah. Okay.
And yesterday.
Okay. On those things. Okay, Thomas, how about you?
More of the color coding.
What? I can't hear you.
More of the color coding.
Okay. Okay, color coding. Tom, how about you? Okay, so the different calendars. I'm looking for something here. Dwayne? Something you remember from yesterday on calendars. This is just
have more than one calendar.
okay. Okay. You can't remember anything else? Well, just something that you remember, a review. Okay, but so that's part of our review. Rachel, anything you remember from yesterday? Vacation calendar. Okay. Can have a lot of calendars. Deshaun, how about you? What do you remember from yesterday in calendars? Well, you got to speak up. I can't hear you. Okay, so you saw that in the video. Okay, yes, Julia.
That when you put it in, it's important because putting it in writing.
Okay, right. So using a calendar, when you use a calendar, the way we are conditioned or the way we have been involved as people, when we see something in writing, we're more apt to do it than if it's just verbal. So if you start filling out your calendar, what's going to happen is you're going to do it. And that means you're going to become more what?
Efficient.
More efficient, right. You'll be a more productive employee. You have better control over your time. So then the other thing from yesterday was building calendars. Anybody have any problem building calendars? Okay. You guys didn't get to adding more calendars? Okay, well, we'll do that today also. Another thing from yesterday was the collaborativeness of calendars. How you have your calendar, and what can you do with your calendar? You can share it with someone else, and what else can you do? Invite them to what? Events, right. The other thing you can do with Google Calendars is you can invite people to an event. You don't have to share your calendar with them. You can keep your calendar private, but you could have an event coming up that you want to share with someone, and you do what? You invite them to the event, is what it's called. So, does anybody remember how we do this in Gmail? I send you an email, I say, happy.
In the top right.
You do what?
In the top right. I don't know, there's a button.
Okay, there's a, you have the email open where I said, let's go have lunch, and then you click on the More button in Gmail, and you then, one of the options is Create Event. That then takes you to the calendar. What if we just are in our calendar and we have an idea? Hey, I've got a Chow Tutti interview today at 11:30. Maybe I should invite some people to go to that event. How do I do that? Okay, so here's the thing to do right now. If you don't remember, then you need to be in your calendars and you need to go along with what I said. So you should have clicked the create, go into click to create an event. And how do you invite somebody? You do what?
Yes, Cam.
Oh. Okay, so Dennis, I'm going to follow along here.
Okay.
Oh, at you enter the guest. Got it.
So I'm going to go to my calendar. So this is my calendar for today. And so here at 11:30, I have an interview, a Chow Tutti interview. How do I invite people to this this event? Okay, Dennis, you're going to have to repeat. So what did she say, Dennis?
Add the to add guest.
Right. So I click on Add Guests, and then right over here, I put in the email address of the guests that I want to invite. So if I say Joe, if I wanted to invite Joe, I would do that. His name is now on here. And then I click Save. It says, would you like to send invitations? To new guests, I say Send. And then Joe, if Joe looks at his email, Joe will now have an email from me inviting him to this event. And if he accepts it, it will show up where? On his calendar. Did I share my calendar? No, I didn't share my calendar. I just shared the event. So why is that important to be able to do that?
You may not create a whole calendar for that event.
Okay, so right, I can invite people without having to share my calendar. That's the important thing. You only want to share calendars that you need to share calendars with people. You don't want to share all of your calendars. Okay, so let's see. Let me go out of here. Okay, now what are some of the things that came up in today's video? Were you able to watch the video today, Dennis?
Yes, they did.
Okay, good. Okay, what's something from today's video? Okay, so he showed you how to create an event. Does anybody not know how to create an event? Okay, so the starting point with Google, and you should have this written down in your books if you don't have it memorized. There's always more than one way to do something in Google. Okay, and there's a real shortcut way of adding things to your calendar in Google. So, what's one way to add something to your calendar in Google?
Yes. One student on the day, whatever period, and then go that day, time.
Okay, so if I want to do something today at 5 p.m., you're saying I click on 5 p.m.?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
And once you get to that, you can also click and drag to another time. Create that event.
Okay, what's another way?
Create event.
Okay, so where do I do create event?
Right there, where you create event.
Where do I do that?
Right where you top left.
Where the red button says create?
Right.
Yeah, okay. So you can go onto the calendar. So I'll walk over here and show Wayne. I can go onto the calendar to the particular time I want to do it and click. I can click anywhere on the calendar and do it. I can click on this button up here in the upper left that says create. And what is the thing about quick add? How does that work? What is quick add?
I don't know. You click on it?
Okay. So everybody go to quick add.
Where is that, sir?
It's the down arrow next to create. Okay. So how does that work? How would you guess?
Just type the name real quick and it'll just put it on your calendar.
Type
You
in a
have time
name.
Or,
If I just type dinner, what's it going to do?
oh, date.
To that other screen.
Okay. So if I just type in the type of event that I want, if I go to quick add and I type in just the type of event, like dinner, then it's going to pop up, as Tom just said, it's going to pop up the regular create events, right? And then the habit to get into is you start at the top and you work your way down. That way you don't forget. You go down, then you go over to this side. So you put in dinner, date, time, where, what calendar, what's the description. And when you're doing this stuff, when you're populating these events, when you get down to description, yeah, you know what it is today, but a year from now, you're not going to remember what that dinner was about. Dinner with John. A year from now, you're not going to remember what dinner with John was. So just take an extra minute to type in the description on these things, because if you look back at it, on it in the future, you'll have an idea, you'll remember what it was, or you should have important stuff there. And you just never know when you're going to want to use this important stuff. So if you go to quick add and you type in dinner with Michael 7 p.m. tomorrow, what will it do? You know, it has an example there. If you do what the example says to do, what's going to be the result? It'll add it to the calendar for 7 p.m. tomorrow. If you just put in dinner with Michael, it's going to pop up the create event screen. If you put in, what do you think happens if you put in 7 o'clock dinner?
If it's going to do it.
It'll do it. That's right. If you put in the date or tomorrow, next Tuesday, if you put in a date or something where it can figure out the date, it will add it to that day and time and put the event there. And then you can always do what? Huh? Well, you can delete it or you can update it, edit it. Okay? So once it's on there. So again, there's a lot of people at Google who have jobs trying to make calendar really, really good. And they have a lot of features in here. Yes, Robert.
Yeah, when you say discrepancy, can I just say, like, if I'm going to do it, can I just tell
You can put whatever you want as the description of dinner. We're going to talk about car detailing. Yeah.
When I did mine, I just, because I take a bus ride, I had to put there. But on mine, I just put, instead of putting the days of the week, I just put like the time and it put it for every day. How would you go about it if you just wanted it, say, Monday through Friday?
Okay, so we're going to come to that. We'll come to that. Repeat. We're going to put down, we're going to talk about repeating events. Okay, what other questions? So Dwayne, do you know how to create an event?
Yeah.
How many different ways can you create an event? Do you know of? I can think of 4.
I would think of one right there.
Okay, let's see, I can think of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can think of 5 ways to create an event. Anybody can think of more than 5? Who in here can think of 2? 3? 4? Okay, so we'll go through them. So 1, as I said, I can just click on any spot on the box and then click on edit event, right? And then I start from the top. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is I can pick the particular box in time that I want and create the event, right? I can go to create event and just create the event. So that's number 3, right? What's number 4? Quick add is number 4. What's number 5?
Calendar?
We're in calendar. Number 5 is Gmail. I can do it in Gmail.
I meant calendar.
You meant Gmail? When you said calendar, you meant Gmail? Right. So that would be number 5. I can go to Gmail and create an event through Gmail. Okay, there's probably more ways to do it than that. Yeah.
On number 1, what did you mean by that? 'Cause
What did I mean by what?
when you said any place on
Oh,
the
look,
calendar,
is this it right here?
what's the difference between that?
Well, any place on the calendar means if I wanted to create an event for tomorrow, well, let's say tomorrow at 6 a.m.
Okay,
I could click
right there.
right there. That was number 2.
Okay,
Okay, number 1 is I can click right there.
okay.
I can click on the time I want to do it, or I can click on any other place on the calendar and get to the box to create an event.
Can you show us how to do it in Gmail? I thought it was on, I was in calendar.
Okay. So we'll go. So we're going to do Gmail. Okay. So everybody go to Gmail. Open your Gmail. So my Gmail's opening right now. And I have a total of 12,556 emails on my account.
Where does it tell you that?
It says it right over here.
Oh, like 1 through 17 with the arrows going this way and that way?
Well, where it has I don't know how you have yours set up, but because you can have different ways to set it up. Okay, so let's say I open an email. So I open an email here from Father Max. And then I see down below, I see at the top he sends me an email saying, when can I come back? When would you like me to come back and do the new class? I said, well, the 16th is the best. So I'm going to reply to him, to his email, but I'm going to create an event. Okay, so what do I do? Who knows how I create an event through Gmail? Okay, so you have to have it. So what you need to be doing right now is on yours, you need to open an email that you received from someone. You can't create an event on your calendar if you don't have an email opened up from a person. Right, so then you go up to the top and you click on the More button, and presto zumo, there's a choice there that's the fourth one from the bottom that says Create Event. So here is an email that I opened up. I click on the More button, and then there's a thing that says Create Event. Now what happens if I click Create Event? Let's try it. So you see, right, so you see at the top of the page it opened a new tab called My Calendar tab. So I'm back in the calendar, I'm on that page. So I'm going to change the title of what the event is from greetings to Father Max at Arts and Training Centers. And then I start at the top, so I've got to pick the day. So I start at the top. He said the 16th. I know that it's at 10. It goes for 2 hours. And then I just put all the information in. Start at the top, I work my way down. Now, the other thing that's important when you create an event from an email, it will post the email into the description box. Okay, so if you look up here at the screen, so what automatically got put in here was the email exchange between Father Max, the Jesuit, and myself. I'm going to shorten it a little bit. I can add an attachment if I wanted. There's a bunch of other stuff I can do. I don't need to do. I'm going to make sure Sherry knows that he's coming on that day. So I look over at who the guests are. And when I'm satisfied that it looks like it's right, I click Save. A box opens up. I invite eternal guests. It says Send. I say Yes. If I want to check to see if it's there, I go to the 16th, and here's the event. So it's on my calendar on the 16th. Okay? So those are the 5 ways that I can think of Those are the 5 ways that I can think of to add an event to a calendar. Okay, does anybody have any questions about that, adding events? Okay, so Tamika, can you come up with one way to add an event to a calendar?
Yes.
Okay,
Click that.
quick add. Gina, how about you? Huh?
Answering the email is fine.
Okay, how about you, Rachel? How would you create an event on the calendar?
Just go to my Plus.
How do you go from Google Plus to your calendar?
I mean, not my Google Plus, my email.
Okay, she just said that. What's another way?
Another way is your group chat.
Okay, she said, so Tamika said that.
Take the drop.
I could go under where my map is and click.
Your
on-
map?
I'm not my, I can go where my calendar is and click on my calendar.
Okay, good. You can click on your calendar. Okay, what else, Jesse? Time and date. And who wants to come up? Who in California can think of the fifth way we've talked about?
You click on the list, go down there, and create event.
Yeah. Click on the create button. Right? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, and Google.
In Google Plus?
Yeah, create event.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so that would be a sixth way. I do this every day. You can go into Google Plus. So everybody go to your Google Plus right now. So you should end up on your home page.
Go to
Okay, so from your home page, what do?
go to events,
Go to events.
and then click events.
Click events, and then what?
Create event.
Right, then you create an event. And what is that going to do?
Probably make the calendar pop up.
Okay, so
This
Oh,
is
there's
event title.
so when you create an event in Google Plus, it's really creating a Google Plus event and it's adding it to your calendar. Okay? Now the key thing is the person you're inviting down below where it's to, you have to be able to get them on Google Plus. Now you can type in somebody's name, the circle or their email address, and they'll receive an email. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
Where is that at?
Well, the picture, see where it has the picture?
That's cool. I like
Okay, but we're not doing Google Plus today. But that's another way to add something to your calendar. Okay? And it looks a little bit different on the calendar, doesn't it?
Yeah,
How does an event look on the calendar?
like an actual event.
On your calendar, it'll have the picture of the person who created the event. Right? So on your calendars, when it has the 10 o'clock event, do you see a picture of me on it? Yeah. Okay. So that's a little bit different way to do it. Okay, so that's 6 ways. There's probably at least six other ways to add something to the calendar. There's probably a way to do it through YouTube, through voice, maybe through maps. I don't know. But okay, does anybody have any questions about creating events? Okay, so Rachel asked about repeating events. So for your calendar, like you, what was this about the bus schedule, getting on the bus?
Yeah, because I did a quick, I went under where it's the create and then where it drops down it says add or quick add or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I put bus ride and I put the time
Yeah.
and I put daily, so it did it for every day. And so what I was asking is, could have I
Okay,
went
so
Monday
now
through Friday, so
go-
it would pop
okay.
up on Saturday.
So go to that event on your calendar, click on the event, and then edit the event. Go to edit the event. Okay, so you're at the event page. So everybody should be there. Just go to any event that you want to repeat and edit the event. You'll come to this page.
Okay, I see where you went.
Okay? Now, the first box that you would have would say what, Rachel? Catch bus? Something like that?
Yeah, I just put bus ride and then
Okay. Now below that,
below that
it has
says,
date and time, right?
it says all day, then it says repeat.
Okay. So
And
you
then
click on repeat.
next to the repeat, my little thing says edit. So I hit the edit button.
Correct. So you
and
click the
it's got
edit button.
another screen and it says repeat and it just gives me a drop down list of where I can pick basically every day, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, so now, the people at Google did a very good job or spent a lot of time trying to figure out how you could put any combination of days on here. So you could say every other week, Tuesday and Wednesday. You could say every day, every other day, every week, every third week. They have this in this box, so it's a little bit confusing at first. But what you need to start with is the idea that in this little drop-down box, this repeat box, you can choose, you can have virtually any combination, any regular combination of repeating events.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
asked, because they don't give you an option of, say you had a class that was only Monday and Wednesdays. There's not an option for that.
Yes, there is. So when you go to repeat, you choose.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they don't give you an option. for
No,
Monday,
that's
Wednesday.
not true. So if you click on the weekly choice where it says repeats, you go to the drop down and you choose weekly.
Right.
Okay.
Then you can choose the days.
Right.
Okay. So they did a very good job of trying that anything that repeats, if there's a regular repeating thing, and so if it repeats, it has to be regular, that you can, with one, two, I don't know how many different combinations there are, but you can put in the repeating schedule. And so if it was every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, could you do that, Rachel?
From your drop down, you could do it on that.
Okay, what if it was every other Monday,
I'd have
Wednesday,
to-
Friday?
I'd have to pick weekly and then go and check them off.
Okay, so you would choose weekly, and then it says repeat every 1 week. You would say every 2 weeks.
Right.
And then you would put the days you wanted to repeat on. And then what? You have the start date and you have the end date. And then it gives you a summary at the bottom. So it would be very good to do that. One of the things that I don't do in Gmail is tasks. Is that in Gmail or is that in calendar? But was today's video or yesterday's video, did you talk about how you can have it add a to-do list to your calendar?
Today, like the rent.
Okay. So how did that work, Ronnie?
You just click on a square, and then you like if it's payday every 2 weeks, you click on the Friday or the day that you get.
Okay. So did everybody remember that from the video? So this is an important tool you can do to add to your calendar. So a calendar isn't just a here's what I have to do. This is here's what other people are going to do for me. Like they're going to pay me on this day. And so is that a repeating event? Yeah. Okay. Now when you create an event and you click all day, where does it show up? At the very top. So if you decide you're going to create a to-do list, what do you put down for time? All day. Okay, why? Because it's up at the top. And then when you do it, that's where you can change the color. So that's where you can have different colors. And you can have an undone event, one color, and an event that you've done, you change the color. Capiche? Okay. So we talked about repeating events. A different type of repeating event is something like things that you have to do regularly, like pay your rent. And that you can add to your calendar. And that's just a good habit to get into. What is the habit you have to get into? Looking at your calendar. Okay? And that's something that most people don't do. I know when we start here, when people start here in Las Vegas, especially 0.0% of people actively use a calendar every day. We try to get it to 5% of the people when they graduate actually have the habit of using their calendar every day. Everybody should use their calendar every day. Now I know if you're Casa Grande, it's not that easy if you're not here. But what you should have a sense of is when you do have access to the internet, one of the first things you should do is go to your calendar. And the other thing we need to overcome is this idea of what we put on the calendar are things that are going to occur in the future or today. What else should we add to the calendar? Pictures of what? Well, you can add things to events that you create, anything that's an important picture, but I'm talking about in terms of time. When you do start doing your calendar, don't just think of what am I going to do in the future or today, the future of today. You need to think in terms of adding stuff that are what? Huh?
Important ideas.
Well, that would be in the future, right?
Not right now, and not too far up in the future. I mean, there's a block of time in between. That's like.
Okay, so here's now. Here's the future. What I'm saying is, don't just think of your calendar. So what I'm saying is, number one, develop the habit of using your calendar every day. Number two, don't just think of your calendar as now forward. What else should you think of your calendar as? The past. Think about your past. Anything you can remember from the past, the fact that you remember it means it has some level of significance, right? I don't think it's a good idea to put bad stuff that you don't really want to remember on your calendar. Okay? There could be bad stuff you need to remember that you should add to your calendar. You get in a argument with your boss, go to your calendar, your res gesti calendar, your things done calendar, not your personal calendar, your things done calendar, and you write everything you can remember about that on the day that it occurred. If you have pictures, you add them as an attachment. If you have any documents, you add them as an attachment, because in the future, you might want, that might be important to be able to talk about it. So add stuff from your past, especially anything that's good. Now, how do we find this stuff? How do we find this stuff from the future? In the future? Yeah, exactly. We can search the calendar. We can search our calendar for events. Why can we do that? Huh?
Because they're stored.
Well, not just because they're stored. We can do that because fundamentally Google is what?
Cloud-based.
No. Well, they are cloud-based, but what? What did Google start as? Search. fundamentally, Google is a search company. All of the apps they have all include the ability to search for stuff. So you put something on your calendar, your Res Gesti calendar, anything that's important to remember that you might want to know 5 years from now, 6 years from now, a year from now, 50 years from now. If you're dead and you gave somebody your password and you want them to look at your calendar, the history of your life, all of that stuff should be on your calendar. And we don't think about that today because we grew up in a world where calendars were made out of paper. Moses grew up in a world where calendars were made out of what? Tablets. Yeah. Okay, so we grew up in a world where calendars were made out of paper. People today are growing up in a world where they think of a calendar as something that's on the cloud. And if you think about that, if you grew up in a world where a calendar was something that was on the cloud, you would have this automatic sense that my whole life will now be recorded. Because every day I'm going to go to my calendar. When I'm 100 years old, I can go back to when I was 5 years old and what? Look what was on my calendar. We went to the park, so it was Robert was saying pictures. So we went to the park. Here are pictures of the park that day we went to the park. We went to Disneyland. I added pictures of Disneyland or a link to the album that I had of Disneyland pictures. If you're going to have a business that does car detailing, okay, you might decide I'm going to take a picture of every car and add it to the calendar. When I finish that car, I'm going to take 2 minutes, I'm going to take a picture, and I'm going to add that picture to the calendar of that day for that event, for that guy's car. And I'll be able to look back over a year and be able to show people every car I detail. That's a huge job for us to think about, right? But if that's part of how you see calendars, if you grew up seeing a calendar that way and you think of it as, okay, that's just going to take an extra 2 minutes, it becomes part of your routine, that's what you do. If you're a cook or a chef and you have a special event that you're doing, take a picture of it, add it to your calendar. You can absolutely do that. The thing what the calendar is going to do is it's going to lock it down to a time that occurred. And if you name the picture, if you give it a name as opposed to just the file name that your camera would give it, if you give it a name, you can search for that. You don't need to know the date. So it's important that we think about calendars differently. And the advantage we have is when you go for an interview, you go to another company to work, nobody at that company is doing calendars this way. They're all doing calendars the way you did it Sunday night. And so that's a big advantage. And for an employer to be able to document. If you go into the HR department, you want to work in HR in a company that is not cloud-based, and you can talk about calendars and adding pictures and adding files to the calendar, and having that is kind of like a virtual filing cabinet that's a chronological filing cabinet of events. That becomes very powerful, especially if an incident occurs and we need to go back on a day-by-day thing of what happened here. Or if you've got a project, a calendar becomes very important. What do they call it if you're sailing, or you want to keep track of what happened every day? What do they have on Star Trek?
Captain's book.
The what?
Captain.
Okay, the captain's book.
Log.
Ship's log.
Captain's
log. Ship's log. You know, how do they start in Star Trek? Captain's log, star date 4132.5, something like that. Okay. Why did they do that? Because it's keep track. Everything's in order by date, and it's easy to find. What happened on that date? I don't know. Let's go look. If it was important, we have it in there. When I was running a hotel, when I got out of college, we had to have I don't remember what it was called, journal. I think it was called a daily journal. Anything important that happened at the hotel that day, you need to write it in this journal, because if the owner comes to the hotel and he wants to find out about something that happened here, it better be in that journal or you're fired. Okay? Calendar can do that better than a journal. You don't ever have to worry about losing it. Why? Because it's on the cloud. In fact, the owner doesn't have to come down and say, let me see the journal. What does he have to do?
So you just share it with them.
Tell them to share it with them. And they can see anything important that happened at the hotel. And then they can comment on it. Okay, so we've got a couple minutes left. What questions do you have in California?
How do you add a group event? Group everything tells it.
Okay, Dennis, you have to translate.
The question was group the calendar with everyone. You don't have to
What?
how to group these without having independent. You want to share?
How do you get it?
Okay, so go to your chat box and type in a chat question. We get the first 3 words, and then all of a sudden it just goes silent.
We need to know how to go.
How do you go on in your microphone?
I got how do you microphone.
Exactly.
The next.
Oh
Oh my. Ha ha.
my.
So Dennis, on your screen, you should have a.
Yeah, I'm right now.
Okay, good.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so. Okay. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Oh, hold on. Yes.
Or somebody there can send me a Google Plus message. Or a Hangout, not a Hangout, but a, yes.
I found one other way to create an event,
How?
which is if you're looking at your calendar below create, you have your name for your calendar.
How do you share group events via calendar?
Yes.
Okay, so group event means what? With a group? How do you share it with a group?
So yeah, multiple.
Okay, well, there's a couple ways to do it. So if you're in your calendar, if you're in the calendar, so I'm switching over to that view, and you click on an event, edit event, you just type in all of the names over where it says add guest. You type in the names of everybody you want to share it with, or you can type in a group name that you have in your contacts, a group. Or if you want to do it in circles, other way to do it is through Google Plus. You create an event in Google Plus and you add a circle.
Right.
So in Google, in the calendar, you create an event, you just have to list all of the names of people you invited, or if you created a group on your contact list, you type in the name of that group. So I have a group called Chow Tutti Writers, and there's about 15 people that write for Chow Tutti. So if I want to invite them to an event on the calendar, not a Google Plus event, in that little box that says invite or add people, I would type in Chow Tutti Writers. In Google Plus, when you get down to the box, so if I'm creating an event in Google Plus, down at the bottom it says to, and then if you click on that, it lists all of your circles, or you can just type in somebody's name or their email address. Okay, does that answer the question?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. So we'll wrap this up and see you tomorrow.
Bye, Joe.
All right.